Come on now, come on, won't you come with me? Time to let it go and be free. Won't you come and breathe the open skies? Come now, come listen to the melody. Slow it down, put yourself at ease. Time to live it life. Come live a little bit of what you dream. Don't get stuck in what you cannot be. About time you drop that fight. When the heat be rising, the we still gliding. Nothing's gonna change how we feel. It's a wondrous ride. Get away from the do's and don'ts. Get away, don't let it close. Loco, loco, Paraiso, come and smile, come and smile.
Look, Matt shaved his beard after growing it for about 2 months.
So pretty. But I needed it for a better seal when I do this horrible job. Unfortunately, my full face, got one of the big full face masks, broke, kind of a tragic death. Broke off where the filter attaches. So now I have to use my half mask, which for a job like this is miserable because you get stuff in your eyes constantly with regular safety goggles. So,
Georgie,
hey, go on.
go back up there.
So trying something a little bit different this time. Instead of my normal safety goggles, bought these awesome little swimmy goggles. We'll see how fast it is before they clog up.
But hopefully it should keep anything from entering underneath.
Yeah, but hopefully I don't get stuff that comes in there. The other option is to take my 3M mask, put a little paper mask underneath it, and try it that way. So we'll see. But luckily I don't have to do a lot of sanding. Basically this is just getting off the buildup of this kind of stuff and to get down a little bit closer to the barrier coat. And then what we'll do is we'll put a tie coat of a primer on it, and then that new C-Jet stuff, the anti-fouling. So it should all work out well. We're very fortunate because we had stripped off the whole bottom and have a new barrier coat on it. We don't have a lot of layers of anti-fouling on there right now. If you can see this white through here right now, that is actually our barrier coat. So we're really close to that. All we have to do is kind of just scuff this up. I tried this little area real quick right here. Scuff that up. Give it an area that the underlying paint so the tie coat can attach itself to that, which will give a nice primer then, and then we can do a couple layers of anti-fouling on that, and we should get about 2 years is what's expected with this. So awesome. If it works out that way, we'll kind of find out. The tests so far for the C-Jet that I've seen in a few of the magazines that have done it have been phenomenal. The highest rated, especially for the copper free, but they're beating out the copper paints too. So it's something we're really excited to try, and we'll see. I mean, it's something in 2 years, if we can pull out and we don't have a lot of growth on there, we'll be very happy campers. Yeah. You sure you don't want to do this, Jess?
Do you want company? Come keep you company. Alright, I'll come rub your belly.
One of the other large projects that we need to finish before we can get underway is the Dodger or spray hood for over the companionway. You may remember that we made a temporary one before we left for our Atlantic crossing while sitting in St. Martin. Just something that would last us for our month at sea and make things a little more comfortable in the cockpit. Even if a few of the finishing touches were made to it at night while we were making our crossing. We've been carrying a container of Strataglass premium vinyl with us ever since Florida. And after a visit from my parents in Bali to bring us the dozen or so zippers that will attach the vinyl to our bolt rope, which slides into a track on the cabin top and Dodger hardtop, we now have all the components necessary to complete this project once and for all.
Well, we've saved you from having to listen to us bleeping everything out with all the swear words that were expressed going through this process. It turned out a little bit more difficult to lay out our Dodger than what we anticipated. A lot of it's just how the plastic interacts with the curves, trying to keep it taut. The other thing too is the wind that we've experienced here has not been great for trying to lay out fabric at all. But we've managed to get the front laid out and along one side. And basically what we've done so far is we've used this scrim sheet. It's a reinforced piece of plastic. As you can see, they put fibers in it to prevent it from stretching and getting out of alignment. What we've done is we've used basting tape, double-sided tape, strong double-sided tape, just applied that to the edges along each one of our strips, and then used this plastic sheeting to stick it into place. Once we have it in place, then it's just taking a pen, marking where it corresponds, where it matches with this, and cutting and transferring it over to a sheet of the good plastic, the good stuff that we're using for the window material. We're cutting it, of course, or making the plastic larger than what it actually needs to be, what the finished product's going to be. Much easier to cut away than obviously add new stuff. So cutting it a little bit large. We did, if you look, our middle window is ugly. It's a temporary type thing. We weren't 100% sure exactly how it's all going to lay out, if we were going to in fact be able to get it all off of one sheet. In just measuring it, it looked like we'd be close, but it looked like we were going to be off by 2 or 3 inches, that we wouldn't be able to finish that middle piece. So we decided that's going to be the easiest one to replace later on because it's completely removable. And we had this extra of the old plastic left over, so we decided to just fill that in. Now, luckily, if things work out, this is our final piece that we need to really cut, we should be able to cut this piece and actually out of the good stuff be able to get that final sheet, and then we'll just redo that as needed. So simple that. We do need to add our zippers. Everything is held into place with zippers. So run this way, underneath here, along this side. This is one, just because of the fact I misordered and did get one that actually runs that whole length from side to side. Whoops. Down here and along this side, again, they're all zippered into place. What we'll end up doing later on, and eventually when we finally get to that, we'll show you, but what the plan is to take Sombrella, so our green Sombrella, make little flaps, basically about this tall, stitch it along this edge, the part that's attached to the glass itself, and then Velcro along the lower edge. So when we unzip it, we separate the Velcro, unzip it as needed, put it back into place, zipper it, flip the Velcro down, and that will actually cover this plastic. It'll add to the waterproofness, the tightness of that, and just, of course, finish off the cosmetics of it. We don't have to worry about this edge then getting sun damage and UV damage, all that fun stuff. So that is the process. It would have been much, much easier just to build a full hard Dodger. Totally regret not actually doing that now, but it's what we have, it's what we have available, so we're finishing it off this way, and we'll just deal with it. So, this sheet, let's put it up, Jess. The really nice part is the setup is symmetrical enough that we were able to make one template for the starboard side, and so far it looks like it should match the port side, but well, I guess we'll kind of have to see exactly how this lays out. But it'd be very nice if we don't actually have to template another one. Line up your edge. crate. We got extremely lucky here having to play around with this. Next step of the process is now applying the zippers, so stitching those along each one of these bolt ropes, this part that slides into this plastic piece. Negative with this approach is the fact that it's a lot of individual pieces. So stitching this to this to this to this does create a few more leak points, but once we cover with this umbrella, it should stop any of that or any of those problems. So that's it. I mean, this actually worked out.
So right now we are back in the town of Angra.
I think you're trying to get us hit by a car, yes.
There's no cars either. We're on the sidewalk. And I don't know if you remember our friend Carlos from this past summer lives on the island, and he has been very kind in accepting packages for us while we've been gone. We've been sending a bunch of crap his way. Like,
We've been sending a lot of stuff to the marina as well, but typically only the big boxes, because otherwise they kind of fall through the cracks. So everything small that could get lost is what it comes.
So we have some like camera equipment coming to him, like heater parts for one of our heaters for the winter.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go meet him now, pick up the boxes, and grab some lunch.
Hi guys. How you doing?
Hello.
Man, looking good. Who? You guys?
Nice and tan.
Yeah,
Nice and tan.
Yeah.
Fish are looking nice. Yeah. Is this new?
I don't think so.
What is that?
It's called Arowana.
That is awesome. That's such a strange looking guy.
Easy.
Now your turn. Those are awesome.
That's pretty cool.
The other ones are well fed.
Yeah.
So you said this is all very specific to the Azores, the food here?
I lied.
You lied.
Is that food?
I don't know. I have got a beer, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, here's a dark one too.
But apparently this food is very regional to the area.
Yeah. From the happiest cows I've ever seen.
Happiest.
You guys have the prettiest cows.
The best looking
The dead
cows.
ones?
No, the alive ones. The alive ones are the happiest, prettiest thing. They're like beautiful, like postcard. If I were to draw a cow, that's what they are.
I can't tell you about that.
Yeah.
Well, we just got done having a really delicious lunch with Carlos. I tried to get a little bit of it on camera, but it was just kind of like noisy, and there was lots of clinky silverware, and couldn't do much talking. But they did a bunch of regional dishes, like meats and cheeses and things. Such a good steak we had. But on our mission to pick up boxes, you know, I feel like I never get Matt in the camera. He's back there. He's hiding out. In our mission to pick up the packages that we were having delivered to Carlos's place, there are a few that come from AliExpress, which is kind of like the Amazon shopping of China. And even though I had received confirmation emails that the items had, I think, at least gotten to their country of destination, he did not have them. So we're at kind of like a customs place right now, thinking that's where they have ended up. And there's nobody around. So we're still not positive if we're in the right place. Maybe everybody is at a late lunch. So I think we're just gonna start banging on doors. But again, Angra is so pretty. Everything, like look, the office buildings here, beautiful tiles. And if it stops getting backlit out there, anyway, Angra's just a beautiful town. So if we are back here wandering around once again trying to get some business done, that is fine by me. There you go.
Was not a successful day.
Not really. Only socializing.
Yep, socializing. So socially, very, very good day. Unfortunately, our packages have not arrived yet. Most of them haven't. The important stuff. We have a new diesel heater, one of the cheap Chinese knockoff thingies, on its way, and that has not arrived.
It's gonna get a little bouncy here.
Should have bought the Osmo Us. And Osmo accessories are not here.
Nope. So we're headed back to the boat. We've got 2 packages. You want to find out where the... This isn't. Anyway, we'll update you later. We tried now, but then the bus started moving, so we won't make you sick.
Way too efficient.
Oh,
Why aren't we letting you down? Probably because there's all kinds of nasty stuff down here.
Yep, and there's dogs. Okay, what is the plan for today?
Inevitably, I ended up sanding through our primer a little bit. Any of the hard corners, areas along here and stuff where I tried cleaning it all off, sanding down, just you end up hitting through into bare metal. So the project today is to go through and reprime those, build up a couple layers of primer. We've already done one, so what that required is just sanding down and getting a good surface, so fresh, clean aluminum. Sand down there, then quickly apply another coating of primer. We're on stage 2, so now we are priming again, just to cover that. And then the other thing we're doing too is around that through hull that I popped out. In that area, we're just going to use the Interprotect 2000, which is an epoxy primer. From what we've seen, the adhesion on aluminum is phenomenal with that stuff. So we'll just prep for that. It's a kind of a waterproof primer, again, epoxy. So basically what we'll do is we're just going to prep underneath that mushroom through hull, the flange of the mushroom through hull, with Interprotect 2000, which is an epoxy type primer. It's waterproof. It does a phenomenal job adhering to the metal, to the aluminum, as long as it's cleaned and good aluminum. Clean that off quickly, apply Interprotect to that before it oxidizes, and that is going to give us a full coverage then. And then once that cures fully, we'll probably do 2 layers of that. Once it cures fully, then what we'll do is we'll caulk the through hull like you would on any fiberglass boat and bolt it into place pretty much. So that's project for today.
And so my job on this project most of the time, because for some reason Matt always has issues with measuring, the Interlux Innerprotect that we're using is a 3-to-1 ratio. So I'm going to measure out 3 parts of the base to 1 part of the cure, and then we'll have to let it sit for about 15 or 20 minutes to kind of like cure itself and get ready. And then we'll just go back over the areas that we have already hit the previous day, and then we can get ready to start painting the bottom and go back in the water.
So previously on the boat, the through hull was installed just with caulk. They didn't prime underneath it. The issue with that created was there was a little bit of a lip. So there's a gap there between where the caulk was and where the bottom paint and primer was. Water was able to seep underneath that, and that created some corrosion, and it peeled the paint off. So the idea today now is we are going to sand underneath that, do it proper this time. And so we're going to make sure that there's no exposed edge for water to get under. How we're going to do that is we're going to use that Interprotect again, the epoxy-based primer. Grind this down, just hitting it with 60 grit flat disc in my grinder. Clean that up, clean up the inside edge, and again, that's just going to stop the water from getting underneath this flange. So this is the part that goes up in the hull, and we just want to make sure the water doesn't get underneath there. So it's going to be a combination of Interprotect below, protecting the metal and giving the caulk something good to hold on to, and then we're just going to end up using Sikaflex for this through hull and mount it in place. Quick and easy project, not that big of a deal, but it is time to get it done. The goggles I tried to use to strip the paint to sand the hull worked for about 10 minutes before they were fogging up, kind of like we kind of predicted was going to happen. Tried all my stuff that defogs and prevents fogging. Didn't quite work out. So eventually I ended up just breaking out my really, really old full face mask. You can see it's been well used and abused. The 3M filters I had, of course, didn't fit, so we had to tape them on to actually hold into place. One negative about, again, being on an island is the fact that you can't just get a new full face mask from 3M or something like that. You kind of have to make do. But so far it's worked. At least we think. So now that we ground it down and eliminated all that oxidization from the aluminum, we now have a good surface to prep or prepped to actually adhere with this Interprotect. It's not just a simple painting. Put a quick little coat on. Well, now we gotta sit for about 3 to 4 hours before it cures enough that we can put another coat on. Basically 2 or 3 brushed on coats works well. Well enough for this. It's going to end up bringing it to a thick enough of a paint surface to really protect the metal and protect that corrosion, protect water from actually getting to it. So 2 or 3 coats, good to go. Then we can start rolling on our bottom paint. Such a hard worker.
Such a rough life. I cannot believe I am back to painting. I thought I left that life behind, but at least I was not the one doing the sanding. That part was minimal and it was all matte. So, very thankful for that. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, make sure to do that as well. And there's someone else that has something to say. Georgie also says to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this episode, right, Georgie girl? I swear that's what she said. Good girl.
Paraiso, under the lazy evening sun. Paraiso, come and swan to the local Paraiso, under the lazy evening sun.